Hey everybody, it's Russ from Kilt Cork, and I'm really excited to be here tonight. We are out here at Distant Cellars in Amador County, Fiddletown to be exact, and I'm going to introduce my excellent guest here in a second. Before I do that though, I just wanted to give a shout out to Breaker Glass, who has been so gracious with us and helped us do this show. They are our sponsor tonight, and just want to remind you, if you do have any windshield needs, to make sure you call Breaker. And you can look them up on the internet or at Breaker Glass on Facebook. And also I want to talk to you a little bit about our website, since we're talking about the internet. It's kiltandcork.com, and we just launched it a couple of weeks ago. But that's where you're going to go to find out all of the cool things that we're doing and where we're going to be next. We've got our schedule up, I believe, through the end of November, but we're also going to be posting a couple more places that we're going to be in December. And then, of course, we are going to be taking a break. I'll just say that right now. And we'll remind everyone at the end of the show, too, we're going to be off on Thanksgiving, which is a Thursday, always. And we're also going to be off the week of Christmas and New Year's, and then we're going to come back in full force in January. So kind of keep that in mind. But that's all available on kiltandcork.com. And I think that's about it as far as just welcoming everybody. Again, I'm Russ Reyes from Kilt Cork, and I'm really excited to introduce my guest. Actually, I'm the guest, my host. My host, Steven Gaiser from Distant Cellars. Thank you so much for being here.
Well, you're welcome.
For having me here. Absolutely. Cheers. So we've got a lot to talk about, and I want to make sure we get to all of that tonight. First off, I'm going to have a sip of this amazing wine because it is pretty amazing. I have to wet my whistle, get my palate ready for this conversation. But Distant Cellars is relatively new here in Amador as far as the tasting room opening. Do you want to give us a little bit of background?
Yeah, well, we originally got involved with the property in 07.
Okay.
And then our first official harvest was 09. And we've been, I think we're on our 6th vintage right now. So we're relatively new.
Right.
The vines themselves are somewhere around 20 plus years. So they're relatively new, but they've been dry farmed for the last 15 years. So we do nothing but dry farming here. And
okay.
People ask me, isn't that a risk? And I have to say, probably, yeah. But, you know, it is what it is.
Right.
And during the harvest, or during the drought, we had some of our biggest harvests because the vines just really,
they're used to that.
They had their roots way down deep in the aquifer, and it was great. So we built the tasting room in March, well, about 6 months, and opened it on March 3rd in 2016.
Okay.
2 hours before we were hosting the firefighter women, International Firefighter Women group. They had about 45 of them here.
Wow.
And so that was great that we got it open.
Yeah. And well, we're going to talk about that here in a little bit too. So 2013 is when you got the tasting room open, but the property already had fruit, and you were that was already being dry farmed.
Right.
So what made you, because what's your background again?
My background was in corporate real estate and accounting, actually.
Okay.
And I was with one of the large multinationals consulting firms.
Okay. But there was something that happened, or something that made you decide that, I want to be a winemaker.
Well,
what was that?
It was my son, Drew, is a firefighter.
Okay.
Son number 2. I'm in business with 4 sons. Number 2, and
now, do you call him number 2?
No.
Okay.
No.
That's good.
He's true. Anyway, we started. He had just gotten engaged at one of the other local wineries here.
Okay.
And so we were working behind the cellar doors, which is the big spring wine event
right here in Amador. Amador Wine.
Does.
Yeah.
And
shout out to Cellar Door.
We were talking about. He says, "Dad, I want to do a real estate investment before I get married." And I said, "Great." I said, "What are you thinking about?" And my friend piped up and said, "Oh, you got to look at this place right down the road. It's it's 10 acres. It's got 3 acres of grapes, and I bet that you could make it work, and it'd be a really good investment for you." And back in '07. So that's when the trees were still growing to the sky.
Gotcha.
And I looked at it, and we came out and looked at it. And I looked at Drew and I said, well, after doing the back of the napkin thing, how much you kicking in? And he said, oh, Dad, I can't go into a marriage, with a mortgage. And I said, okay. So
let me get this right. He was getting married and he said, I want to do a real estate investment. He said, Dad, this is what I'd like to do, but I want you to do it. Is that kind of the way it went?
Basically.
Pretty much. Yeah. Okay. And that's Drew.
That's true.
Drew. Yeah, okay. We'll talk about more about
Drew's
Drew
my
in a little
entrepreneur. So,
okay.
I mean, anyhow.
So he's one of the four.
Yeah. So
okay.
I said, well, the only thing we can do is make him an offer that we'll get our real estate guy with a black eye, but
sure.
we'll give him a lowball offer. And so we sent him away at 5:00 in the night, and the next morning at 8:00 in the morning, he was knocking on the door saying, "You are now an owner of a winery."
Wow.
Now, we did not have any idea, other than we like drinking wine, what was going to be involved. So,
right,
a little more. We didn't really do our homework all that much.
Yeah, no due diligence on what it takes to be a winery and a vineyard owner.
Over the next 4 years, we learned very quickly.
Hey, and it definitely worked out in your favor because the product is outstanding. So
one of the nice things about Amador is that the vintners in Amador treat everybody like family. So if you have a question, you can ask any one of the vintners, any one of the owners, hey, how did you do this? Or have you had this problem before? And they'll say, oh yeah, I had that problem. And it did this and this and this. And so this is how I overcame it. Okay. And they're all very anxious for your success.
Right. That's
very
good.
Supportive.
Yeah. And it definitely shows in what you guys do. Definitely. So the logo of Distant Cellars is a compass.
It is.
And that has some meaning.
Well, we originally were living in Colorado, and when we bought the winery.
Okay.
And so son number 3, who's the winemaker, had a friend that was into advertising and working for a large advertising group back in Kansas City.
And what's son number 3's name?
Blake.
Blake. Okay. So it's not just son number 3, it's Blake.
Yeah, it's Blake. Okay. So Blake, turned him loose on it.
Okay.
He came back with all this compass ideas, and we really kind of liked it. And as we did the naming and the compass, it really symbolized where we were.
Okay.
And then it had a breakaway on where we want to be.
Gotcha.
And so that's where we got the right side of the compass has a breakaway, so it's like going west and pointing to the vineyard.
Pointing here.
Yeah.
So then the other 2 sons, they're involved as well.
They are.
Okay.
Son, the oldest, is Todd, and he's an Uber security.
So he's technically son number 1.
Yes, he's son number 1.
So since we're talking about numbers, yes, son number 1. Yeah, Todd.
Yes, and he is Uber security. So when I ask him what he does, he says, "Dad, I'll have to shoot you."
Oh, okay, top secret stuff. Yeah. Okay, yeah, secret squirrel. I like it.
So he goes all over the place.
Okay.
And
so this place is secure, by the way. This place is.
There you go. And then son number 4 is in the Air Force. He went to the Air Force Academy, graduated, and was an instructor pilot for a while, and is now flying jets out of. He's on deployment right now.
Very cool.
In the Mideast.
And son number 4 is
Reed.
Okay. And cheers to Reed. I was Air Force for 6 years, so I got to give a shout out to all you airmen and airwomen out there. It's a fun place to be. So
yes,
cool.
we're very proud of
both
Reed excellent. And Drew as their commitment to the community.
Right.
And then Todd and Blake also.
Yes.
They're all great kids.
So the talking again, circling back to your firefighter son, Drew. He had an idea once that I want to talk about.
Well,
what was that idea?
We had just gone through our bottling of our first vintage. And Drew came to me and said, "Dad, I have an idea. I work with the National Fallen Firefighters Foundation, so NFFF is what we're shortening it to.
Okay.
And I work with them at Red Rocks Amphitheater and in Denver. and I really like them. You think we could do maybe some kind of a charity wine for them? And I said, sure, let's do it. And he goes, okay. And I said, well, why don't you go make the deal, son? Go make the deal. He goes, really? And I said, yeah, you need to do this. Right? So he went off, and he comes back 3 months later and says, hey, Dad, I followed your advice. The lawyers looked at it. They love it. They said it was okay. They said, it's good.
Yeah.
The NFFF loves it. And so
and you're gonna
they signed it, and I signed it, and and so all we need is your signature to go forward. And I looked at him with a big smile on my face, and I go, do I get to read it? He says, yeah. And I said, okay, well, we'll work on our communication skills, which we're still working on.
Gotcha.
So I get to the middle of the second page, and I kind of look up at him, and I go, Drew, you are a very generous young man. He goes, really? And I said, yeah. I said, how'd you come up with 30% of gross sales? He goes, well, it was a nice round number. And I said, well, 10 would be a nice round number. So, anyhow, I said, you signed it, they signed it, so I'm going to sign it.
Let's do it.
And if we need to adjust it in the future,
you
get the honor of going back to your buddies and saying, So
that was pretty risky with the unknown product and an unknown, everything.
Our second bottle.
Our
second bottle not even done. So
I got to give Reed credit though. I mean, he got you to get the winery and he got you to do this. I'm sorry, Drew. So kudos to Drew. He's pretty savvy.
He is.
That kid's smart out there. So the tribute, it's behind us right here. How many vintages do you have so far?
So we have 5 vintages. So
okay.
Far. So we have the
and can we taste that?
You bet.
All right. I'd really like to taste that.
Let's put these aside here.
All right. So the tribute is the name of the wine. And again, it goes to the National Fallen Firefighters Foundation is where these proceeds are going to. And you said 30% of every one of these bottles that are sold here at the winery is going to support that organization.
So we have over the last 5 vintages,
okay,
in our little 1,200 case winery, done over $100,000 worth of contributions to the National Fallen.
That's amazing. Cheers to that. That is such
It is a labor of love and something that we believe in.
Right.
So that's it. We've had people come in. We have people come in and say, thank you so much. And,
oh, absolutely.
We hear a lot of the stories.
Mm-hmm.
And when we did our first bottling, one of the survivors, the widows, came out and she got the first bottle.
That's so cool.
And we had the California Color Guard here, and they rang their bell and did all that. Did full service.
That's really special. And
we started out right with it.
Yes.
And we really enjoy the support that we've been given, and we're glad that we're able to give back to the community. So
it's really a blessing, and it's an amazing thing that you guys are doing with this tribute label. And especially when I first came here, my first visit, it was at the height of the fires that we were having here in California, which we seem to have every year. But it just seemed, you could see the reality of where this money goes in the men and women that are out there fighting these fires, all over the West, but specifically in California, where we've had some really crazy.
They're on, their teams are on the street within the next 24 to 48 hours after something happens.
Now, Drew's still fighting the fires?
He is.
Yeah.
He's a captain at West Metro in Denver. Funny thing, I think sometimes I have to remind the boys how to use a compass because they're all in Colorado, and I got voted out of the Colorado clan, and I had to start my own California clan. So
they voted you off the island.
They voted me off the island.
Wow.
And so, but I've really enjoyed living out here, and we're in the foothills. So
in Amador County, which is a beautiful place to be, just next to El Dorado and
back road to Tahoe, an hour 15 minutes away from Kirkwood. So
right,
I can
about an hour from Sacramento, maybe from here.
Hour 15 from the airport. Yeah,
gotcha.
So hour 45 minutes from Sacramento.
Right. And it's in a great little community called Fiddletown, which I think a lot of people don't know where it is. And it's such a cool little place. It's definitely worth coming up and seeing you up here and seeing the town. So real quickly, again, I'm Russ Reyes with Kilt Cork, and I'm here with Steven Gaiser from Distant Cellars. If you have any questions for Steven, why don't you go ahead and put them up there. We'll see if we can get to them. I just wanted to let you have a chance to, well, I'll shake your hand too, because I need to. This is awesome what we're doing. But tell us about what's coming up. What's happening here at Distant Cellars in the next month or two?
We have a couple events going on, and we have our winemaker that's helping Blake out, so our consulting winemaker.
Okay.
Is going to do a vertical of our drifter, which is our red wine blend. It's the one that gets to move every year, so it drifts from year to year. It's basically the kitchen sink, and we get to play with that at the end of the bottling decisions.
Very cool.
And Blake does a great job with that, and we've made it from 09 through the 13s. There are 14s that were done, and very successful. And the 13s are currently at Trader Joe's. So
you can just run down to Trader Joe's and get this bottle of wine.
Both Trader Joe's and in Sacramento and Folsom, in those areas, they were very tight market for them, and we're in their premium wines. And so we're very fortunate and appreciative of Trader Joe's putting us in their
that's pretty big.
Their local category. So.
I got to talk about this tribute though. It is a delicious wine. It's full bodied, but it's easy to drink. It's got an amazing nose. If you were here, you could just put this up to your nose all day.
So being from Colorado, where and growing up here in Amador, we didn't quite understand all the rules when we first started. And so our first drifter wine was made of Zinfandel and Syrah. And we we blended it, and it was a big hit. And so we didn't really know until we opened the tasting room that we were about the only people that were blending Zinfandel and Syrah. So
that's delicious.
We also add a little Alicante Bouschet to that, and Alicante Bouschet is a southern French grape. And it is
and we had one of our viewers ask if you have Alicante Bouschet here.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. Matter of fact, I was just down before we started this. I was down punching 4 tons of it. So we're making that we'll use it both for blending and as a standalone. So there's a standalone Alicante here. Right.
Okay, great. And then we had another question. Do you do barrel tasting here?
Yes, we do. Matter of fact, Mr. House, Michael House, is our barrel tasting expert, and
he is. And Michael House, and we do have an audience here, so shout out to Michael and Beverly. They're kind of off camera. They're awesome. So he is one of the barrel guys in the industry that's pretty renowned. And you also have Matricia here.
Yes.
Who's a lot of people know Matricia. So when we had some people say hi to Matricia, so hi to Matricia over there off camera. So you've got a great staff, and I really appreciate you.
Michael does our barrel tastings, and we'll keep him around. One of these days I'll be able to go out and play golf with him. But
he plays golf.
He does. I've heard from the courses that he hasn't been barred on.
So you can golf on like 2 of them. That's kind of like me and my group too. So I really appreciate you taking the time to talk to me, Steven. I wish we could keep going. We've got to wrap up here in a second, but this has been amazing. And again, thank you so much for taking the time, for letting us come out here and talk to you. And
thank you for coming out.
Oh, absolutely. We really enjoy this and really like turning people on to new places, and a wonderful family that runs this winery with you and your boys and of course your staff. And these wines are outstanding. So you need to really come out here. If you haven't been out to Distant Cellars, please make it a point to come out here and say hi to them and say that you saw it on Kilt Cork. That'd be awesome. Speaking of Kilt Cork, be sure that you follow us on Instagram and like us on Facebook, because that helps us grow and helps us get the word out. And of course, the more people that are watching us, the more people are going to know about you and the other great people that have hosted our show. So that's really important that you follow us on that. And be sure to share. Be sure to share the video if you enjoyed it. Get your friends turned on to this place. I just wanted to also say next week we're going to be out at Via Romano, which is in Camino. We're going to go back to Camino. And Via Romano is a great little family-run winery as well. So we're going to be excited to be out there and talk to Leanne and John about their business and kind of what they're doing. So if you're out there, stay tuned for next week at Via Romano in Camino. But right now we're here at Distant Cellars in Fiddletown and Amador, and I've just had a really great evening talking to you, John, about your wines and about your family, and just love it here. Great place. Thanks for having us out.
Well, thanks for being here.
Thank you. So we're going to say cheers to everybody out there. It's time for us to take a curtain call here and sign off, but we really enjoyed you with us tonight. Thank you for hanging out with us here at Distant Cellars, and we'll see you next week. Cheers.
Cheers.
Very cool. Cheers.